Hello, welcome to another Easify video. In this video, I'm going to talk about what's new in Easify version 4.77. Now, version 4.77 is a free update for existing Easify V4 users, and we've got a number of really cool new features for you in this one, as well as the usual performance enhancements and bug fixes. If you go to our website, easify.co.uk, you can go home, click the news link, click the top article, and here you can see a news article all about all the new features. But we don't want to sit here reading a news article in a web browser. We want to actually see the features. So what I'll do is I'll walk you through some of the highlights of what we've got for you. Okay, let's switch over to Easify itself. The first thing we're going to look at is a new feature we call the point of sale touch buttons, or product touch buttons. And if we go to point of sale, and let me just resize this window a little bit for you. So this is the classic point of sale view, where ordinarily if you, let's say we open up an order, we'll load an existing order, and on the screen in front of you, you'll see a list of all the products that you add to the sale. What we've got now in version 4.77 is there's a new F10 button that you can see down here near the bottom of the screen. You can click on that or you can press F10, and what this does is this loads up the new point of sale touch buttons. Now, when you go into it, basically what it gives you is a load of buttons on the screen, and each one of these buttons represents a product category. So if we go to our products, you can see that we have categories of batteries, cables, cookers, and then we go back to the point of sale window. We have batteries, cables, cookers, and so on. Now, all these buttons are clickable. So if you click on a category, such as batteries, you can either tap it on the touch screen or you can click it with a mouse. It takes you into that category. And there we have three buttons. We've got an all products button, and you can see we have two subcategory buttons in here, alkaline and rechargeable. And again, if we look at our products and we expand batteries, you can see we've got alkaline batteries and rechargeable batteries. So if we click on one of these subcategories, it takes us to the products. So to cut a long story short, when you get to this point, instead of having to barcode scan products or search for them using the F3 button and search for products through here, this screen just lets you very easily add a product to a sale with a single click or a tap. So you click on a product and it adds it to the sale. CR3202, click it and it's added to the order. So this is a really great feature. If you've got a sort of business, like say you run a leisure attraction or you have a museum, and a large part of what you do is selling the same kinds of products, i.e. tickets to people. So let's say you have a range of 8 different types of tickets that you sell people. You could just have them on the screen here. And then as people come in, you just tap whichever ones they want. This can make life a lot easier. Otherwise, say you've got products where they don't really lend themselves to having a barcode on them. So for example, selling entry tickets to a theme park or something. You can't really have barcodes on a ticket, and you don't really want to be having to scan tickets as you give them to people. So this just gives you a really easy way of doing that. Now within here, this is all fully sizable, so you can it'll scale itself to the size of the screen you're on. I've got the point of sale running in a window, which incidentally you can do by clicking the this button here or doing Control W, but it will automatically scale to whatever size screen you're on. You can resize this area here, so if you want that a bit bigger, you can resize that, and that'll be remembered as well when you next load the point of sale. That'll remember its size setting for you, so you can get that looking how you want it. One of the cool features with this as well is that you can actually flip between the two views. So you can flip between this new touch buttons view and the classic view just by pressing the F10 key. So if you need to pop back to the traditional view that you're familiar with, you can do that. And if you want to flip back to the new view, you press F10 or click this button here, and you can just flip between the two. During a sale, so if you're midway through a sale and you want to flip back to the old view, press F10. If you want to go back to the new one, press F10 again. All of the existing features still work with the point of sale touch button. So for example, I can click on a product here and I can tap the plus key on the keyboard, and I can increase and decrease the products with pressing plus and minus. I can click F3 if I want to search for a product. So I can do that. Oops, I'll select a product. Ignore that. And You can scan a product as well. So the barcode scanner still works with this. So again, if you're in that scenario of having, say, like a museum entrance tickets and you have a museum shop, you could have this page just sitting on the tickets page. And then if people buy things in your gift shop, you can still scan those with a barcode scanner without having to leave this page. Something else you can do with this is if you want to have this visible all of the time, in other words, if you want this as the default screen when you load the point of sale, what you can do is you can go to Tools, Options, and under Point of Sale, click on the Advanced tab up here, and then you can tick this box here, Use Product Buttons when POS starts. And we'll tick that, click OK. Yes, we want to save our changes. Then when we go back to the point of sale, it goes straight to the Product Touch buttons. And then from there, you can just pop to the category that you want to have a look at. Okay, also related to the point of sale, let me just close this down. I'll go to Tools and Options, Finance, Credit Control. We have a new Credit Control tab in the Options, and in this you can enable a new feature called Active Credit Control. Now, Easify already had certain amounts of credit control built in. You could set customer accounts, you could set credit limits for people, and Easify could help you to control how much credit people had available, and you can obviously print off customer statements and all kinds of reports to do with your customer credit control. But what we've done here is we've actually enhanced sort of the active credit control. So with this, on the point of sale, you can actually have Easify intervene if certain credit control criteria are met. So what I mean by that is that in the active credit control options, when you enable active credit control, and incidentally, this is disabled by default. So when you install version 4.77, it won't change the way Easify works unless you come in here and enable this. So it's not going to change how it works already. But basically, when you enable active credit control, at the point of sale, whenever a customer tries to pay for a sale, so in other words, you've raised a sale on the point of sale, you've pressed F12, gone to the take payment screen, at that point, this system can intervene and prevent the customer going over their credit limit. And it does that in an active way. And what that means is that rather than the system just popping up warnings to the operator to say, oh, hang on, this customer hasn't got enough free credit, you can actually get this to block the sale entirely. So the person operating the till, your member of staff, has no option but to not sell that sale to the customer. There are 4 scenarios that we cover, and each scenario is listed here. So the credit control scenarios are that the customer has no credit facility, or if the customer doesn't have sufficient credit for a sale, or if they have an overdue payment with you, in other words, they have an invoice that they haven't paid and it's gone beyond their payment terms, or if a customer is on stop. So in those 4 scenarios, you can now choose what happens. So, for example, if a customer has no credit facility when they go to pay for a sale in the point of sale, you can choose from the following 4 options. You can either say there'll be no warning and allow everything. So in other words, nothing will happen. So let's say the customer doesn't have a credit account, and at the point of sale, when they come to pay for their goods, they say, can I pay on account? The operator can enter that payment amount into the on account box in the F12 take payment screen, and the system will allow it. So you could give your staff discretion just to say, yeah, give people credit if they ask for it. Or you could choose that if a customer has no credit facility, this Easify will warn the user and allow all payment options. So in this scenario, it will actually pop up a little message box to the operator and say, hang on, this person doesn't have a credit account. So that's just like a little flag to warn them that the customer doesn't have a credit account. Or you can go a bit more harsh on things and you can say, well, warn the user and prevent on-account payment. So if your customer tries to buy something on credit when they don't have any credit, this option actually allows you to block that. So this will warn the till operator that the customer doesn't have a credit account, and it'll prevent them from actually processing that on credit. They would have to actually take cash card or check or whatever sorts of payment. The other option you have, the 4th action you can take for this scenario, is to warn the user and prevent all payment options. So with that, when the sale is processed, when payment's processed rather, there'll be a pop-up to say this customer has no credit facility. Yeah, they can't buy anything. The system just won't accept any sort of payment method, at which point then the person operating the till would call in a supervisor and you could deal with the situation appropriately. Now, for some of these options, you see we have an allow supervisor override option. So if we select no warning and allow all payment options when the customer doesn't have a credit facility and they try and buy something on credit. You can see there's no supervisor override because nothing happens. There is nothing to be overridden. Similarly, if you warn the user and allow all payment options, then it just allows everything anyway. However, if you choose to block on account payments or block all payment options, you can also choose to allow this to be overridable by a supervisor. So in other words, with this, if the customer has no credit facility and you want to warn the till operator and prevent them paying on account, you can actually tick this, and that will allow that to be overridden by a supervisor. So in that scenario, your member of staff could say to the customer, oh, actually sell it on account, but I can ask my supervisor. They call a supervisor over. The supervisor can then log in with their username and password and override that block on the account. Okay, that was all kind of quite long-winded, but basically these are all the same. They're all the same kind of actions. So if the customer doesn't have sufficient credit when they go to pay for a sale on account, you can choose from the same actions. Allow everything, or have a warning and allow everything, warn the user and prevent the account payment, or block them altogether. Same for if the customer has an overdue payment. If they have an outstanding invoice, you might decide to choose this option with a supervisor override. So in this scenario, if the customer has an overdue payment, in other words, you've issued them an invoice and they haven't paid it within the number of payment days on their account, then you can warn the till operator and you can prevent them buying anything on their account unless you call in a supervisor who authorizes it. So that gives you that sort of interaction. It's like a block on the account. Then finally, you have the is on stop option. So if a customer is on stop, you may decide to warn the till operator and prevent all payment options. And again, up to you whether you have a supervisor override on that or not. So what we'll do is we'll enable active credit control, and I'll just show you how that works. So what we'll do is we'll look at the scenario where a customer has no credit facility, and we'll say warn the user and prevent on-account payments. So if a customer doesn't have a credit account, we're going to basically prevent them paying on account. I'll show you how that works. So we'll just OK those changes. We've enabled active credit control. I'll just show you the customers settings as well. So if we go to customers and we open up a customer, just double clicked on the customer to open them. And then we go and we click on account, and you can see they have a credit limit of 0, so they don't have a credit account. And we mentioned the on stop option, and that's where you can put an account on stop. So that's a manual thing you do. You can tick that to put the customer on stop, and I'll show you how that works in a moment. So here we can see we've got Philip Anderson doesn't have a credit account, so we'll OK that, not that I've made any changes. We'll go to the point of sale, and what we'll do, I'm going to select that customer, Philip Anderson, press F5 or click the button. I'll select him here by clicking on him, and then I'll click the tick button. So he's now assigned to the sale, and we'll add a product. Simple little sale. And we'll press F12 or click the F12 button to take payment. And I'm going to click the button here next to on account, which will basically try to pay for the full amount on account. And here you can see that active credit control has kicked in and said credit check failed. This customer does not have a credit facility. They cannot pay for this sale on account. So there you go. That's the active credit control working. And there is no way that they can pay for that on account now. Even if you type the value in here and click enter, it'll block that from happening. They can still pay by other means. So in this case, they may decide to pay by cash, in which case that's perfectly fine. And the sale has gone through. So what I'll do, let's just change the scenario a little bit. Let's put the customer on stop. So I'm going to go to the account tab of the customer. I'm going to put them on stop. Click OK. Now you'll notice as well that the customer's gone red. So that means that the customer is on stop if they're red. And when you open the customer now, they've got a stop icon as well, just to draw your attention to the fact their account's on stop. And let's go back to the options, tools, options, finance, credit control. And if the customer is on stop, we'll say warn the user and prevent all payment options. And I'm going to tick the box there to allow a supervisor to override that. So the scenario in the store would be that the customer has been placed on stop because they've got an outstanding invoice they need to settle. The next time they come in to pay for some goods, we want to warn the till operator and prevent them buying anything. So they're going to be stood at the counter, not being able to pay for anything, but we can call a supervisor over who can discuss with them settling their account, and everything is going to be fine. So we'll OK that. Save our changes. We'll just go back to the point of sale. And again, I'll select our customer and we'll add a product, and we'll go to F12 to take payment, and we'll click on account. And it says this customer account is on stop. They cannot pay for this sale. When you click OK, you can ask a supervisor to authorize credit for the sale. So this is where the supervisor override kicks in. If you didn't tick the supervisor override box in your options, then you wouldn't have this text here. You just have the top line. So we click OK, and then we have a login prompt where a supervisor can log in, and I'll log in and authorize that. And then the sale's gone through. Okay, so that's a brief overview of the active credit control system for the point of sale. Next, let's have a look at live reporting. Let me close the point of sale. Yes, I really want to close it, and I'm going to close that as well. Live reporting. If we go to the products window, and I'll select a product, you can see down here in this panel now we have product sales history. Now this isn't anything new. This existed before in versions prior to version 4.77, but we've actually totally rewritten it and turbocharged it, and it's very much more powerful than it was. Incidentally, if you go to the product window and you don't see this panel, then you need to click this button here. There's a button where you can toggle this on and off. So if you can't see it, that'll be why. Now, we've got the product sales history tab here. And as I say, this already existed in earlier versions of Easify, but it was much more basic. We've also added a purchase history tab as well, which is actually new for version 4.77. So this is a new feature here. So if we click on a product, and I'm going to click the globe here, which is show report for all time. As I say, this works as it used to. Basically, when you click a product and you choose a date range, either you can choose a single day, 7 days, 31 days, 52 weeks, or all time. It'll basically show you the sales of that product during that time period. Let me just shrink this down as well so you can see a bit more there. We've actually started calling this live reporting now, because as opposed to the traditional reports, if you go to reports, products, and you do run off one of these reports, these are much more static, old school style reports where you would run the report, it just displays it on the screen for you to print it or save it to PDF. You can't really interact with it. Whereas with the live reporting, this is much more live. You can actually cut and slice your data in real time. So I'll just show you some of the new features that we've got here. So let me just pick a product where we've got a bit more information on it. Let's have a look at what we've got. There we go. That's quite a lot of product sales history. So you can see in the product sales history for this product, we've got columns such as customer name, order number, product quantity, etc. You can choose the columns you want here by clicking choose columns, and then you can pick whichever columns you want. And you can see there's loads of columns to choose from. So you can get this set up exactly how you want it. That's nothing new, that existed before. Something that is new is you can now save to more file formats. So previously you could save to CSV file. Now you can save the view here to Excel file, to PDF, and good old CSV. And within this view, you can sort the columns. So if I click on customer name, I can sort by customer name or order number or product quantity. A nice feature with this is you see the funnels here. You can click on these to actually filter. So if you click on the funnel, you get a filter option like you would in a program like Microsoft Excel. So here you could say, well, okay, only show me products where someone bought 10, and it filters it down to that, or 10 and 22. And it just shows you sales where 22 or 10 off the product was sold. You could say, show me rows where the value is greater than, say, 5. Click filter. Or you could say, show me rows where the product quantity is less than 5, and so on. And you can click clear filter to get rid of that as well. Another useful feature here is product grouping. So you can drag any column header to this area where it says drag a column header and drop it to group by that column. So if you drag that here, it now groups everything by that particular customer. And you can group by multiple columns as well. So if you wanted to group by customer and then product quantity, for example, you can do that, and then you can drill into your data this way. Now, how you use this is up to you. Every business is going to be different here, and you all have your own imperatives as to what particular kind of data that you want to look at. So there's no intended use for this. You can come in here and just play around until you get the kind of figures that you want for whatever you're looking at. And we can remove a grouping just as easily by clicking on it. Another nice feature as well is that you can search this as well. So if you do Control F, it pops up the search box and you can search, or it's like a filter. It filters it down to just show you what you've entered in the full text search, and you can see that the actual search matches are highlighted in red. So that's another neat feature there. So we can clear the search by clicking the cross, and you can close it by clicking this cross here. Something else you can do, you may have noticed that we've got a blue vertical line here, and this is the column freezing bar. So if you drag this out to wherever you want to freeze the columns, any columns to the left of this will be frozen. So if I move the window down to make it smaller, you can see now that we've got a scroll bar and it locks those columns, and you can resize those. And if you want to get rid of it, just move it back to the first row and it goes away, or it parks itself ready for future use. Another thing you may notice as well is that we have a totalizer row at the bottom. And what this does is this aggregates the values in the column above, or in other words, it adds them up, or it sums them, or averages them, or whatever's appropriate. So you can see here in product quantity, it's giving us the total number of products is 53. The net price each is average of £2.76. And the net total is total at 201.52. Now, the way it adds these things up or displays the totals depends on the column. So here, where we've got a product net price each, it wouldn't really make sense to just add all those up because it wouldn't mean anything. So here we give you the average, and the net total is a much more useful figure if you add it up, because that'll tell you the total amount that you sold. Something else you can do here is you can drag columns into new positions, as you'd expect. So you can move the columns around if you want them in a different order, and you can resize them, and the sizes are remembered as well. So when you close this window and reopen it, it'll remember all the column ordering, the column positions, the column sizes, and all that sort of stuff. Now, you'll notice here as well, we have this pop out in a separate window box. So if you click on that, this basically pops the whole report, the whole live report, into its own window to give you more space. Now, where that's really useful is that if you double click on a product, let's say you actually double click on here, this report is available in the product details. But as you can see, it's quite small, and the product details window isn't resizable. And if you wanted to look at your data here, it's all a bit constrained. So click the pop out button and you can just pop that out into a bigger window to make it easier to work on. Now, as I say, new for the products window, we've also got purchase history. So on that, you can click on purchase history. And then if you select a product, and I'm going to, again, select the all-time date range, and we'll click through the products, you can see that for this product, it's showing us the purchase history. So again, this works exactly the same way as the product sales history, although the purchase history is a new feature for version 4.77. And this shows you a list of all the purchases related to the product. So when you select a product, you can view the purchases. And if you double click on a, say, a purchase number, it'll actually open up the purchase that product was purchased on. And again, you can choose which columns you want to appear for this view, and you can export it and do all the usual things you'd expect with the live reporting. Now, the live reporting, it exists in the product window. So for the products window, you can see the product sales history and you can see the purchase history. You can see both of these in the product details. So when you double click a product, you can see the sales history and also the purchase history within the product view there. We've also added this into the main customers window. So again, it's a feature that already existed, but it's now enhanced with this new style of display. And again, if you can't see that panel, then click this button here and this will toggle it on and off for you. The product's sales history is also visible in the customer details. So if you double click on the customer while you're in the customer details, you can also see their product history in there as well. And if you go to the suppliers window, We've got the product sales history is also available in suppliers. So you can click on a supplier and you can view product sales by supplier, and also purchase history as well. So you can view the purchase history for any given supplier. And again, double clicking on, say, a purchase number will actually open up the purchase. And if you go to the main orders and quotes window, you can see that you've got the purchase history is also accessible there. So you can click on a sale and you'll be able to see which purchases relate to that sale. So that's a brief overview of the major features in version 4.77. So we go to our website, www.easify.co.uk, go to the news page, click the top article, and here you can read at your leisure all of the other new features for Easify version 4.77. So it shows you some of the things we just spoke about, as well as some of the other things, some of the more minor features as well. So I hope you found this video useful. Please feel free to like the video if you found it useful, and also subscribe so that you get updates when we release more new videos. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us, support@easify.co.uk, or leave a comment below and be happy to answer any questions you have there. So until next time, thanks for watching.